Oh, we got people coming in.
This is great.
Oh, yeah.
Hi, welcome to church. Welcome.
So there, as you can see, they are coming in fast and furious. Welcome, everyone, as we come in. I'm David Goldman. I'm Executive Director, and we'll start in just a second. As you can see, we have Rabbi Beth and Mayor Breed on the screen. I am just going to hide my own video for a moment so that we have our, okay, great. Well, I'll just be on just for a second, just while I'm introducing the two of you. I am just so thrilled to have both of you with us today, to have my rabbi and my mayor, and as a longtime D5 resident, you'll always be my supervisor. So I don't care who's in the seat. So it's great to see both of you. Just for our audience at home, we probably will have time at the end for one or two questions. I'll be monitoring them and come in, but I really want to make sure that we spend most of the time hearing from Mayor Breed and Rabbi Beth Singer. So with that, I'm going to take myself off video and hand it over to the two of you.
All right. Well, thank you, David, and thank you, Mayor. I was going to say today's such a busy day. I'm imagining every day is a busy day for you. And I just want to say I am such a huge fan of yours. I think you know that. And just so proud of you for being the forward thinker that you've been for our community. And as I was preparing for this, we have a lot of people from our congregation on with us today, and I received so many messages. Tell her how grateful we are for her strong leadership, and we just owe you such a debt for what you're doing for San Francisco and for all of us, really, to model leadership. Loved seeing you on Face the Nation yesterday. We were very, very proud, and I know you're being interviewed left and right by everyone, but I had come to you with a proposal, and I don't know whether they gave you a mug of tea or a Diet Coke or at least a water.
I forgot my drink. I know. I saw it. I'm
We
sorry.
were just going to hang out.
I'll take my water bottle. It's over there.
Yeah. There you go. We wanted to make you comfortable because
when you
thought
said a drink, I was like, oh, I can bring wine.
You could bring a glass of wine. I didn't know if that was okay or not,
well,
but
I didn't know it was if it were okay. But
we'll do that next time. We'll do it next time. I promise.
If you just put in the notes, or you can bring wine and that sort of thing.
We'll be much clearer. There you go. You got your water bottle. I've got my San Francisco tea mug. I just thought it would help set the scene for a more personal and spiritual focused check in with each other. And I just wanted to start by asking you, I know you're our mayor and you're a person who lives in San Francisco. How are you doing?
I am losing it.
Thank you for saying that.
I am like, I just want to hang out with my friends. I want people to come over. I want to sit at a restaurant and eat. So I was talking about this in the press conference today. I wasn't going to tell anybody this, but
tell us. We won't tell anyone.
I don't know if you remember the show Ally McBeal, and remember how she used to dance and sing and by herself, right? And you would think, oh, that's crazy. I'd never do that. Well, I did it on Sunday. I was playing a lot of music, like a lot of old school music and songs I hadn't heard before. And I was going down a list, finding things. And I was like picking up stuff out of the kitchen and singing like it's a microphone. And like, I just lost it, okay? And just went crazy for a few minutes. And it made me feel better because I know if I'm struggling with this. I mean, of course I have this job and, I have a great team of people and we're working hard every single day to take care of the people of the city. But it definitely is difficult to adjust and to follow the rules that, I'm asking everyone else to follow. Of course, I have to follow them myself, but it is hard.
Yeah. It is. Thank you for sharing your humanity with us. It helps us all, I think, and it is a hard time. I think we're all going to go out and try dancing like Ally McBeal and like Mayor London Breed. What else do you do to get through this hard time? What else?
Okay, so I finally have stopped going to the refrigerator. I try to stay out of the refrigerator because the food was definitely helping. But I've cut back on that. And I focus on doing a lot of number one, prayer, number two, meditation. I also, work out in the mornings on my bike. And I do walks all over the city, the hills and the marina and area and those areas. Like those will make you sweat going up and down those hills. Try running up the stairs on the hills. Going to USF, going around the city, it gives me it's a nice kind of peaceful thing. So that really helps as well. And calling my friends on Zoom or FaceTime. And I also make them promise not to talk about the coronavirus. Otherwise, I'm like, I gotta go. Bye.
I know we have to take a little bit of a break from it, right? And the getting outside. We live in just the most beautiful place in the universe, I think. And I know I just saw today that JFK drive through the park is going to be closed so that we can use. I'm so excited about that.
Well, initially, Dr. Colfax, the Department of Public Health, they were concerned that it would give the wrong message, that people would think that it's okay to come out and picnic and have little play dates and other things like that. But based on our observations of the behavior of the folks who've been using it on the weekends, they feel more comfortable with allowing this to occur as long as people follow social distancing. And we got to give people something because we're asking folks to follow these rules and to change their life. I feel like everybody's on punishment. I put everybody on punishment. And it's like, okay, you can't do this, you can't do that. And it's like, okay, well, what can we do? And part of it is we're human and we can't help but want to interact with other people. It's the biggest challenge I know is been church and people's ability to go to temple and other things. And so we're looking at ways in which we can, figure out maybe not bringing congregations together, but how do we allow these sanctuaries to open and operate so that there is drop-in and prayer, and because our spirituality now is so much more important than ever, and the need to be around other spiritual people is important. And so I'm hopeful that there are some things that we can do to help in that regard. But yeah, this is tough for all of us.
It is. That's so great that you're thinking about that. We all really appreciate that. I always joke that when I went to rabbinical seminary, I walked all around the campus looking for that class on predicting the future and being a prophet, and I could never find the class. And here you are in this position. There's so much unknown. And so we're going to stay inside to the end of May. And I'm just wondering if you can talk a little bit about, and I'm sure there are a lot of people that you're working with together to talk about
Yeah.
what is it going to look like? I mean, how are we going to work our way out of this? How are we going to get to be San Francisco again?
Well, I cannot wait until we are San Francisco again. And part of being San Francisco again means getting our businesses open, getting our academic institutions, our religious institutions, our nonprofits, getting those particular places operating. And what we've done is because I want to be clear that there's a lot that I want to do, but I also have a deep appreciation and respect for our Department of Public Health. And not only am I following their advice, I'm also pushing them to think more creatively about how we prepare people when we do decide to open. How do we do this incremental opening where, okay, today we're going to allow this to occur, and these are the new regulations around, for example, construction, and here are the new guidelines, and so that industry can continue and that housing can continue to get built. Or our religious institutions, what does it mean? What can they do? How can they operate? Because let's be clear, our numbers, even though people are saying, okay, they're flat, they haven't gone down.
Mm-hmm.
So we're still seeing the numbers go up every day. We're still seeing the hospitalizations go up every day. We are not out of the woods. I mean, the fact is, a surge could happen at any time. And so we're not at a point where we can say we can go back to normal, but where we are is at a place where we could start talking about things that can basically be implemented to allow maybe non-essential businesses to do pickup and delivery just like restaurants. And so I'm pushing our Department of Public Health to say, well, what about this? What about that? What if we do this? How do we set this up? So I want to be able to give the people something. I want to be able to make sure that those, especially low wage workers who, are not necessarily, wouldn't be considered essential workers, like they're struggling. So I think, and let me just appreciate Temple Emanu-El for retaining your entire workforce. I mean, that is amazing that you were able to do that, because those folks that you were able to keep will provide an opportunity for ensuring that they're not in that pool of folks who are struggling, right? So I think it's going to be challenging, but we're going to need to. It's going to be a new normal, and the new normal is, okay, this is one announcement, and this is when we're going to be able to open this industry, and this is what you're going to have to do in order to open it. This is what we're going to have to do in order to open restaurants, which may reduce the number of people who are able to return to work at those restaurants, which would reduce the number of people that can eat inside of those restaurants, which in essence, completely changes their bottom line and may not make it economically feasible.
Right.
So we have some real challenges that we face, but I do think we have to keep pushing to get our city back open in a responsible way. We don't want what happened during the Spanish flu about 100 years ago, when, and I don't know if you saw that article in the San Francisco Chronicle. It just felt like, well, we're in the same time period where, back in 1918, they closed churches, they closed businesses, they closed schools. And then about 2 months later, they thought we were in a good place. Everyone rips off their mask and start partying and celebrating. And then boom, a couple of days later, the numbers shoot back up. And the last thing I want to do is see San Francisco end up in that situation. But I also understand, along with this public health crisis, that there is another crisis that exists, and that's an economic crisis. And so how we are able to make sure that people can financially take care of themselves even after this is over.
Absolutely.
Why I had to set up a economic recovery task force, because we have to plan now, because we're in trouble in the future financially in the city as a whole, and there are a lot of businesses that may not come back from this. So we got to be prepared for that and what that means for unemployment and poverty in San Francisco.
Right. It's a lot. It's a lot on your plate. I'm really glad you mentioned the pandemic, because there's so much that we can learn from that history going forward. And as Jewish people are such an ancient people, that in addition to the specific lessons we learn, like you can't just go running out into the streets partying when the numbers go down, we also learn that these things come and they go. There's a Hebrew expression, gam ze ya'avor, this too shall pass. And we have to keep that vision, of the future ahead of us. And just, speaking about history for just a moment, I don't know if you realize that the architect of City Hall, Arthur A. Brown, was also the architect of Emanu-El of San Francisco. And I love that connection that we have. And I know that amongst all those things that you named, that we have to work on the economy and everything else, something else that we really share in common, all the religious communities with you, is that need to take care of and provide a safety net for the most vulnerable in our community. Homeless people, people with mental illness, people that are low wage earners. We're very proud to partner with the San Francisco Interfaith Council, and I think you put Michael Pappas on your recovery task force, which is great. We work closely with the San Francisco Black Jewish Unity Group, and we've partnered with you on campaigns to reduce family homelessness, and so many other things like that. What I really wanted to ask you today is, how can all of our religious communities come together and work with you and partner with you to seriously be advocates for the most vulnerable here in San Francisco?
Yeah, well, I would say, many of the people that are part of your congregations are most likely a part of that vulnerable population.
Yes.
And so I think part of it starts with you're retaining your workforce and hopefully reaching out, and which I saw some information that you're reaching out to your seniors in your congregations and making sure that they're okay and they get help and they get support. And then there are other congregations which in San Francisco where their whole population is a part of that particular community, but they have real financial challenges. And I think part of what could be very helpful is the partnership that has always existed between Temple Emanu-El and other congregations, and making sure that you are able to reach out and touch and support your congregations, which oftentimes are elderly members who need not just someone to grocery shop, or someone to run to the pharmacy, but they also need that personal interaction. They also need someone to talk to. I got a note from a neighbor that said, "I'm your neighborhood block captain. Here's my cell phone number. Here's my email address. If you need any errands or anything, or someone just to talk to, then here's my information." So I think that's going to be part of, really helping to support our communities, because I will say that what we're doing around the homelessness, what we're doing around equity, because we embedded an equity team in our emergency operations center from day one to outreach to communities that are disadvantaged, to outreach to people around masks and around, education around the coronavirus and testing and a number of other things. I mean, we have a clinic in the Bayview with a testing site right next to it. And so there's a lot of work going into, a lot of those communities. Of course, there can always be contributions to give to SF to help with food insecurity, to help with housing, and to help with small businesses. But I think that sometimes the people that may get forgotten are people that are elderly, who may own their own homes, but may not have family support, right? They may not be, they have Social Security, they own their home, and they have nothing else. And they get left out of the equation. And I want to make sure there's no disconnect there. And so reaching out to various communities is really important. And there are a number of ways, of course, that can be done.
Absolutely, absolutely. I know that people would keep you here all night, and they're going to be. We'll pick a couple of the questions if people have so many questions for you. But just before that, are we doing okay?
Well, I just wanted to make sure, because there's a lot of questions coming on chat too. So if
they're monitoring the chat. I just really quickly,
okay, good.
Yeah, just really quickly, and then David's going to bring in a couple of the questions. You know that we have such a close relationship with Third Baptist Church and with Reverend Amos Brown. And Reverend Brown and my husband Jonathan and I have been talking a lot about the way that COVID-19 has really exposed racial disparity in a way that many had not been able to see. And we're so concerned about the disproportionate number of people of color who have coronavirus, who are not getting the treatment, who are dying. And I just want to put that on the table, that it's something that we really, especially the San Francisco Black Jewish Unity Group and the Interfaith Council, that we really hope to work with you on addressing that as well.
Well, here the thing is, those disparities exist in the country, unfortunately, and here in San Francisco, compared to other places, we have a 6% African American population, and about 6% of the people that have been diagnosed with COVID-19 have been African American, and about 12% of the deaths. That's 3 of the 23 deaths that we've had in San Francisco were African American. Our death rate is relatively low compared to other places, but the difference is our Latino population, where Latinos make up about 15% of the population in San Francisco, yet about 25% of the cases. And so there's a lot of work and research going into trying to understand the disparity there. And also 80% of the hospitalizations are Latino, and they are coming from specific area in the Mission you might have seen on the news, UCSF did a whole outreach effort to one of the second most concentrated or densely populated census blocks in the city, which is predominantly Latino, to do free testing for everyone, whether you had symptoms or not. And so we're trying to get to those issues of the inequities that exist. And I'm really proud that San Francisco, from day one, we had an equity team on board. And the work that Cheryl Davis is doing through the Human Rights Commission, the outreach, the education, and then the fact that people are not afraid to get tested from these communities, our immigrant community, because they don't fear, like, you know, how there's challenges with ICE, and the fact that they are willing to even be tested in the first place. I mean, we've come a long way, but the disparities still exist. Ours are just a little bit different than the rest of the country.
Right, really important that it's on everyone's radar screen. Okay, your guides are telling us you don't have too much more time. So David, can you share one of the questions?
Yeah, there are so many. I'm going to say the most popular response is not even a question at all, but just thanking you for your leadership. And everyone's just saying how proud they are of you and of the city. So that's not really a question, but it is the most frequent one. Another one, and I'm sorry for folks that we can't get to them individually, but taking a few of them and pulling them together. A lot of folks are asking about your process of coordinating with the other cities in the area, other large cities across America, with the governor. How does that process of coordination go?
Well, we have calls regularly with not only the 13 big city mayors in California, but also the governor's office is a part of those calls. And we've talked to senators and assembly persons on those calls as well to advocate for changes to federal laws and also state resources that impact our cities. The good news is San Francisco is a city and a county. So we don't deal with a lot of the challenges that some of the other cities are dealing with that fall under a county. They are having so many challenges, but we are coordinated. We're working together. Our county health officers in the Bay Area are coordinated and working together. And part of what I talked a little bit about earlier in terms of reopening and what that might look like, our goal and what we've been talking about with the mayors is, you know, what does that look like and how do we work together to propose these guidelines to our county health officers to begin the process of opening things that would get us back to normal. And so there's a lot of, I'm on the phone nonstop with mayors, not just here in California, but all over the country, sharing information and supporting one another. Our governor has been great. I mean, he's provided us with support for not only PPE, but he's managing all the stuff with FEMA and the reimbursement for the food and for the hotels for the homeless. And so there's a lot of moving pieces, but we're all working together. And I'm really so proud to be a part of California. When you think about the challenges that so many people face in other cities, in California, we are fortunate. We're working together and we're trying to speak with one voice, even though we know, for example, in Southern Cal, they opened up some beaches, which was absolutely insane. Our beaches are open, but we're trying to, get people to socially distance themselves. And if they get out of control, we'll work with the federal government, since they're kind of in control of the beach area, to cone those off. But we still got a lot of work to do, and we're working closely together to do that work.
Do we have time for your folks are telling me we've just got a couple minutes left. Is there a real short one,
Okay.
David?
So I'm going to do one that I think is maybe a good closing as well. But so many people have commented they were so touched by kind of the personal comments both of you made about your reaction. And I'm just going to read one question verbatim because I think it's a great way to close. How do you deal with the restless nights and anxiety? Do you have any comfort to help us sleep and relax a bit? Faith and science and experts. How do you do it? So advice from both of you, I guess. Mayor and then Rabbi.
I would just say that as soon as I hit the pillow, I'm one of those people who, as soon as I hit the pillow, it's a wrap. So I get about 7 hours to 8 hours of sleep every night. I drink a ton of water, so I go to the bathroom all the time. It makes me crazy. But I think when I have there's some nights where I'm kind of going through the motions and trying to figure some things out. The thing that puts me to sleep the fastest is reading. So find a good book, put it by your bed and read, and it'll make you sleepy in an instant.
Mine's similar, and I know I'm sleeping because I'm having crazy dreams. I don't know if you're having these really crazy dreams, but I put on a podcast, and I'll put on like a 12-minute timer, and then I'm just out because there's so much work to do during the day, and oops. I just want to really thank you, Mayor Breed. I don't know if you know that we're in the process of rebuilding our congregational home in a way so that we can serve the Jewish community, but also really serve the social justice needs that you talked about today for the next 100 years. And we can hardly wait to host you when our rebuild is complete. And in the meantime, I hope you'll call on us and call on the whole religious community. And I really just, I've had the opportunity, multiple opportunities to bless you, but I really want to ask God's blessing on you that you stay safe and very healthy, and that we continue to be blessed by your visionary, inspiring leadership. And we really, really can't thank you enough.
Thank you. I appreciate your blessing and your prayers. We need that more than anything. I do, our city does, because I know that's what's going to help us get through this. My spirituality is important to me, and I use that as my guiding light when making these very hard decisions, hoping that they will have positive impacts on people's lives. And so please continue to send out that positive energy, those blessings, those prayers. It does make a difference, and thank you all so much for your continued support.
Next time with a glass of wine, and we really appreciate you. And thank you to everyone who participated today. Good luck and get a really good night's sleep tonight, all right?
All righty. Thank you.
Thanks. Thank you, everyone. Thank you.